Hey guys, how you doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is just a really quick video that I just wanted to do explaining something that has been bothering me a little bit, just about the world financial system. So yeah, very basically, the issues that we are struggling from at the moment are basically the fact that the world debt is too large. There's corporate debt, government's debt, personal debt. The only way this fiat system functions is by the creation of credit, which is then obviously someone's debt, and that is what is driving, basically has been driving the world economy more than it should be, and inflating asset prices more than they should have done. So what has been driving that debt has been the price suppression of interest rates by central banks, which has then resulted in the money being cheaper than it should be, cheaper than the market price of the money should be, if free markets were to determine that basically interest rate and that price of money. So because they are lower, people have then been taking advantage of that to borrow money, then to do all sorts of things they wouldn't ordinarily do with the money if they were having to pay an actual an interest rate that was more applicable to the market dynamics at the given time, such as, for example, stock buybacks by companies because they can borrow really cheaply, such as governments running up big debts because, again, their interest payments aren't as high as they maybe would be. So that system seems to be under a lot of strain now. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, believe this system basically collapsed in 2008, and through just doubling down and throwing more and more money at it, they did keep it going for a lot longer. But they do know that's all they have done is manage to keep it on life support, and probably the next time we have an issue, i.e. now, that may be the end of that system. So it's somewhat coincidental that we have a global pandemic where they are looking at quarantining people. They are basically instilling fear in people. I mean, I'm not going to downplay the impacts of it, but it does seem there is a media hype, and then obviously there's more government controls in every aspects of people's lives now. Things that you can and can't do, times you can and can't go out and traveling around. I mean, this is all very restrictive. This is all but the quarantines that are going on. So what this brings me to is so Mark Carney, he used to be the Bank of England governor here in the UK. He basically was talking about a cryptocurrency, a government cryptocurrency, and he was actually saying that the dollar as a central, as basically the world reserve currency, was now just causing more problems than it was when it was worth, and we did need to find an alternative. But I just want to focus you in on the aspect of basically currency then turning to a cryptocurrency, because as you obviously know, with Bitcoin being a cryptocurrency, everything is there on the blockchain, it's on the ledger, it's all trackable, it's all traceable, it's all there. A central bank cryptocurrency, again, would have all of the same aspects. So if they had basically a government cryptocurrency, even if it's like central banks across the world all grouped together, what they basically are doing is they are quarantining your funds and your money in their system. And we already know they use their system to pick the winners and the losers, as it is, as the system is now. That's why there is a rising gap in basically the rich and the poor. This is actually the Cantillon effect. I may do a video on the Cantillon effect, but very basically, the people that get the money first get the most value from that money. So because that money has a higher purchasing power, because as that money then is spent and filtered into the system, it basically dilutes the purchasing power of that currency, so it reduces the value of that currency as it percolates through the system. And that very basically is the Cantillon effect. So what central banks have been doing with this cheap money that has only been accessible to certain banking players, certain large corporations at the cheapest rates, that has created so far winners in those guys, and the rich getting richer, billionaires and having more billions, and then poor people have actually struggled with the prices of things because they're at the very bottom of the scale, where the money has then been devalued by the time it gets down to them, and they then actually lose their purchasing power and things cost more money for them. So what this actually is, this is a tax on the people down the system. So the people that don't have access to the basically free and incredibly cheap money, it is a tax on them by reducing their purchasing power, i.e. taking away the money from them in that way. So it's not nominally taking the money from them, and nominally they may even get paid more money, but in reality, due to the inflation of the money supply, because of this credit that's created, they're actually worse off. So from that, we know that central banks, they are picking winners and losers, and their system is now collapsing on itself, collapsing in on all the debt they've created. Their 253 trillion worldwide that they have created is now collapse. It's like a black hole. It's like a star when it's basically gone supernova, and it's now falling in on itself under the weight of its own gravity. That is exactly what is going on in the financial system now. So what will happen if they create a cryptocurrency that we all have to use? So we'll have no cash. There won't be cash that people can use in that system, because obviously everything's on the ledger, everything will be all digital, and so they captured you in that system then. So they are then free to restructure that system, and distribute money and do whatever they want like they normally do, and I can assure you they're going to carry on doing it the same way they do it now, which is basically to benefit them and their system of control. So Bitcoin, obviously being a decentralized network, there can't be the backdoors, the things that they can do to manipulate the supply to control and monitor everything. So that is basically what I wanted to talk about, is that whilst some people across the world are getting quarantined, I mean, the irony of the situation is that it could very soon be their whole livelihood, their whole financial assets, the whole system. I mean, everything can be put on a blockchain, and everything can then be put on a government blockchain, i.e. even property, even your share portfolios, everything can be. So I mean, if we do end up with a system like that, a full control, similar to like what they do have in China with WePay. No one uses cash in China, pretty much everyone uses WePay. It's only like some of the older generations that will use cash, and everyone just uses WePay. And it's like they've elected to use that, the people have chosen to use it out of convenience, but they don't. What they do realise, but they are then sacrificing their basically privacy in a very authoritarian state, and that could be the model for the rest of the world. So in these times of obviously hardship and people being quarantined, just imagine this could be part of the process that leads, part of the chain of events that leads to all our capital, all our money, everything being quarantined in a system, and then they will be able to enact deeply negative rates on people. So you will lose a lot of your money, basically, if you don't spend it. So they will be forcing you to spend the money basically, and you won't just be able to hoard cash to obviously negate that deeply negative interest rate, because I can tell you now that is what they want. They want to be able to force deeply negative rates on the market so that they can try and reflate the system by forcing everybody to spend everything that they have and no one being able to save, because if you save, you literally lose the actual money. The money goes down, not that you lose the purchasing power, which you do at the moment, but you literally will actually lose nominal value of your money. So yeah, that's something I did want to explain to you guys. It's something that does trouble me how the world is going, and now that we're currently in a situation, because you know the people that run the world, the people behind the scenes, the people not behind the scenes, just the world leaders, they're not going to let an event like this go to waste. So they are going to try and exploit this in a way they can to consolidate their own power, because that is how these people operate. And we have to, well, I mean, we just have to be cognizant of the fact. I'm not too sure there's much anyone can really do as an individual. I mean, this just has to be something. It's certainly not going to be me that instigates anything, because I'm just a one guy with 100 followers on YouTube. But I mean, there will have to be more of an awakening to all of this, and a bigger basically pushback against this. But whilst we do have obviously this fear instilled in a lot of people, I mean, people are more just gonna do as they're told. So something for you guys to think about, something that bothers me and probably should bother you if you think about it. Right, okay, thanks a lot for that, guys. So remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and I will speak to you guys later.